Hello, everyone. How's it going? My name is Divonis, and welcome to my first ever episode of Trip Sitting, where I go over, just basic life stuff, mycology, music, and everything in between. We get a nice little conversation going on here. I try to make sure everything is unfiltered. I try to make sure everything is as unedited as possible so that you can get the most the most raw content. I said rare, like podcasts are rare. Anyways, so on this first episode, I think I'm just gonna mainly state a topic, but for future references, I think what I'm gonna do for these structures is has it to where I kind of have one topic that we talk about, and then maybe we kind of snowball off of that a little bit. I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do yet, but we'll see when we get there. Anyways, for the first topic, I think it'll be a good caveat into this whole podcasting if I talk about the trip that changed my life forever. And no, I'm not talking about, a trip where you pack your bags, you go on like a weekend trip, it's a vacation. No, I'm talking about a spiritual trip. So let me do a little bit of story building before we get into it. It's me and my friends, and we decided, you know what? Bernie Sanders was having a rally at U of H. We're going to go there and drop a tab. So while soccer mommy was performing at the Bernie Sanders rally at U of H, yeah, I'm not making this up. You can look it up. This actually happened. Anyways, we dropped the tab, and obviously, nothing happens for a while. So we get done with the rally, nothing happens. My friend decides, hey, let's go to the art museum. So right after the Bernie Sanders rally, we all get into his car, and we begin to go to the museum. We're noticing on the highway that it's starting to take effect, and boy, do I start feeling a euphoric feeling as we're going. Like, what? I don't even remember how fast we are going on the highway. I just know that my friend had a Jeep at the time, and he took off all the doors of his Jeep, so it's just like a doorless Jeep, no roof, no nothing. It's just we're driving about probably 80, 90 on the highway. Keep in mind, the driver as well is also on the same journey that we're on. So while he's coming up, we're all coming up, and it was just I wasn't really thinking about the precautions too much, just mainly because it's like I think this was like freshman sophomore year of school, so I was still in that I don't really care phase. I'm saying that like it wasn't like 2 years ago, but still, let me just pretend like I grew up a whole bunch in 2 years. And anyways, we get to the museum, and I automatically am like entranced by all this stuff because when you go to the Museum of Fine Arts in Houston, you walk in at the beginning. I don't know how it is now, but when we went, you walk in and there's like this little whole array of optical illusions that you walk into. And I was, a normal brain Nick would be like, oh, all of this stuff is easy, self explanatory. But Journey Nick, oh, bro was confused, perplexed beyond belief. I was looking at stuff that I feel like I could get as a fifth grader, but I was in that trance, and I just felt like it was just the most complex, magical thing I've ever seen. So, after being entranced in that for what literally felt like an hour, but it was probably like 10, 15 minutes, we went to the actual exhibits, the main ones that you don't have to pay for after you already go to the initial. Oh, sorry, my freaking. Sorry. Sorry about that cut right there. My Siri thought she was important, like the main character, and that I was talking to her, but I really wasn't. Anyways, so we get to the next floor, and I see all these paintings, and this isn't my first time at the museum, so it's not like I haven't seen most of these before. But while I was on this journey, it's like I was seeing art for the first time. It was like I was jumping into these paintings. All of them spoke to me. It was insane. And also, would like to reference that I was listening to Frank Ocean and Tame Impala the entire time. Yeah, it was the only thing that was on my playlist. I didn't prepare that well. Anyways, I was looking to these paintings, and I must have been 1 inch from each of these paintings every time I was looking at them because it was just it was too much to just. I needed to get close in and personal with these paintings. Oh wait, sorry for the cut again. Siri, if you're gonna do a podcast on your MacBook, just make sure you take that Siri off. Anyways, so while I was 1 inch away from these paintings, I started to feel like an uneasy gaze as people walked by. I don't know if this is just like anxiety peaking while I was tripping or if it was like people were actually looking at me. I don't think people were actually looking at me. I think it was just anxiety. But anyways, I was by myself for a little bit of this trip, because we all decided, let's go around the museum by ourselves, let's experience it ourselves, So we're like, yeah, let's do that. I was getting paranoid, so I go back try to find one of my other friends. Everyone was doing basically the same thing I'm doing, 1 inch away from all the paintings, just observing them with our full face and just probably getting the most nasty looks. But it is what it is. Anyways, after like an hour at the museum, we're kind of tired of it, so we decided to go back to our house. Not our house. It was my friend's dorm at the time, because all of us that were friends together that were taking acid that day. I think we were all roommates freshman year, but sophomore year came around and we all decided to get different places. It happens. It happened. Anyways, we're back at one of my friends' places, and it's still like in full effect. It's only been like an hour, 2 hours, give or take. Anyway, so it's still in full effect. So we started to smoke, and that took it to the next level. To the next level. It was like if I was tripping before, I was tripping balls afterwards. It got intense. And you know what we decided to do? Continue to play Frank Ocean in the room. I think we were like either playing Catan or cards or something. We were playing we were playing something. I just remember at this point in the trip, I was just kind of exhausted, tired of it. And that was basically the end of it. Now, I called it the trip that changed my life because a few things happened in the middle of this trip that I didn't explain while I was going on. First, on the way to the museum, I noticed I saw a person walking their dog whenever I was tripping, and I was like, wow, this is a dog. It's a pretty big dog. So I was thinking to myself, wow, I'd be terrified of this because, I have, like, when I was younger, I was attacked by a group of stray dogs, and, like, I kind of have this PTSD where I kind of don't trust a lot of dogs. But I remember when I was tripping and I saw that dog, I was just like, yo, that's just that man's dog right there. That dog did nothing to you. That dog specifically right there did nothing to you. And then that's when it clicked in my brain. I'm just like, I can't keep holding on to these things that happened to me in the past and trying to convey it onto other people that had nothing to do with that particular situation. And I was able to be like, oh, if I can apply this to a dog, then maybe, there's other caveats or other ventures in my life that I can put this knowledge onto and it can also be applicable. And I've been doing that ever since. And it's just been a lot easier to internalize things, to break them down as in like, okay, so this happened to me. This is why I react in this way. How can I change myself to where I no longer react in this way whenever this occasion happens? So when I say the trip that changed my life, I really say the trip that helped me gain self perspective. And I think that's what taking psychedelics or anything like that does for someone the first time they do it. It's just like they realize, oh crap, there's more to my brain than I thought. Like I thought I was using 100% of my brain, but really I was using like 10% of it. And once I actually get to that hyper hyper realized state, it's kind of easier to get back there because you've been there before. But obviously that wasn't my only trip. But I'll get over other trips later. That was just a little caveat. I don't think I'm gonna go too much into detail about anything else right now because I just want to keep this nice inaugural episode short so you can get a whole basis of how I'm gonna do these whole structures of these podcasts. In the future, they'll probably be a lot longer, a lot more thorough, a lot more detailed. But I just wanted to give like a little nice journal. You know what? I could talk about a little bit more of the trip and like how it has carried further on into my life afterwards. So I remember that trip was also the start of my whole spiritual journey in the first place because it made me realize that there was more to the consciousness than maybe I had originally thought. And being a kid from an urban area, Acres Homes, if you know where that is in Houston, been there my whole life, you kind of just see what is in your neighborhood. And I didn't realize how much of the world there really is until I got to college and I started seeing, like my roommate is literally from India. He moved to America when he was 13. I had my other friend who was my roommate. He lived from Dallas. He was like he wasn't like rich, but he's like richer white person. So I got to see that perspective of life. My friend Vishal, who's also my roommate, he was from Sugarland. Didn't even know people consider Sugarland part of Houston whenever I was younger. So, I was learning a whole bunch of things about even my own city that it just made me realize that I may have thought in the past that I knew a lot of things, but in actuality, I know nothing. And that trip made me realize that there's just too much in life to learn in one lifetime, to the point where no matter how smart, no matter how intellectual and knowledgeable you get, you never know everything. So there's no point of pretending like or trying to learn everything. I just take life one step at a time, trying to learn things as I go, gain new knowledge, get new hobbies. Sometimes I lose it, sometimes I gain it forever. Like that's how mycology became a thing. But I not how mycology became a thing, but how mycology became a thing for me. I should rather say. But I'll get further into those topics later. I just wanted to thank y'all for coming, and I just wanted to also end it by saying, like I said at the beginning, we're going to be focusing on mycology here, music, everything in between. I decided to call my podcast Trip Sitting because I wanted to kind of be like, not just about psychedelics, but it's about, like the viewers coming here, listening to me just talk, ramble with myself or with guests about life. Sometimes we talk about trips because, been through a few of them. So we'll talk about those every now and then. But, I just wanted it to feel like a place where people can come to and just chill, relax, listen to someone just talk and ramble. And I hope it's enjoyable. I don't know. I enjoy talking, so I hope you enjoy listening to me talk. But yeah, I think I'm going to end it there. This has been Divonis. Thank you for listening. This is my first ever podcast, so if I stuttered a lot, if I sound like a little kid who doesn't know how to use his tongue, it's because I'm getting used to talking for extended periods of time on the mic. But it'll get better as time goes. It'll get better. Thank you all for watching. It's been Divonis. I'll see you on the next one.